All right, so today we're going to talk about the electronic shift module, or the ESM, on a Mercedes. All right, because I actually have two cars here that both the electronic shift modules are no good. All right, the first one, the one that came in a couple days ago, is a 2001 Mercedes-Benz E430. All right, and this had the classic sign of a bad electronic shift module. All right, so I'm going to show you in the car. There's really like three classic signs to show that this module is no good. And the module, when I say the electronic shift module, I'm talking about the shifter itself. There's the whole mechanism, that you shift to put into the gear. And of course, when you order these, it's by VIN number. So the three classic signs that I'm going to show you when we sit in the car, if you ever have one of these, and they're pretty common to go bad. This one here, Mercedes actually had in stock, so we ordered it and got it a couple hours later. You're going to see when you put it into, say, drive, you're going to have like an LED readout on the dash to show what gear you're in. All right, so that usually disappears, so it won't say anything. You're going to have hard engagements into reverse and into drive. And then when you go to put the shifter back into park, it's only going to go as far as neutral. And then you may have to shut the car off, and then it will go into park from there. All right, the codes also that we were getting is a P240C, which is signal selector position, and a P2313, which is a code that we see a lot with these bad modules, is N15/5 implausible position ESM, or electronic shift module. Now I have another one in the back. I have an 04 Mercedes AMG E55. And the deal with this one was the shifter actually moves, This one is no good, but this one I've never seen with this problem before, and it is the ESM that's no good. If you look at the display, it's reading, when it's in park, it's reading like it's in drive, but it's actually in park. So because of that, it won't let you turn the key off. So this happened on a friend of mine's car the other night, and he's had it towed here. He's, lives probably an hour or so away from the shop, and he had it towed here, but the problem is he couldn't shut the car off since the previous night. So when we got the car, it was probably running 16, 17 hours straight. So we did some checks with it. You can put it into reverse, it'll go backwards, drive, it'll go backwards, but it's always reading the wrong gear. Sometimes it'll read drive, sometimes it'll read 3, 2. So again, for that reason, can't shut the car off. So we pulled it around back, and we pulled the relay out and cut the fuel off and shut the car off. So also, I tell you, see one of these, you see a bunch of them. We also recently had a Crossfire, 2005 Crossfire, called Chrysler, and that electronic shift module has been discontinued. So I gave the guy a list. We went on, one of the techs here keeps his computer at his workstation, so he went on to, I think, carpart.com, something like that, and printed out a couple pages of who has them and where they are. So the only option for that is to get a used one. I've known people in the past that got used ones. Sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't work out. Ultimately, they had to go to the dealer. So the common codes on these, again, is a P240C, a P2313. The P2313 I've had on the Crossfire, and I've had on this car. And the P240C I also have on this 01 that I'm going to show you when we go sit in the car, and that's also on the Mercedes E55. So let me get a little closer here and I'll give you a shot of this. But again, this is the whole mechanism. It's not that bad. It gives you a couple hours to change it. But you basically have, looks like an electrical connector here. You got a couple of bolts holding this thing down. And then you have to put your cable here for the transmission. And I believe this can also be done possibly on the ground versus you know, picking it up in the air. As far as putting this in, you know, I'm not really sure, but I will let you know when I post the video. We may have to raise it up to put that in, or the whole thing may be able to done. The whole thing might be able to get done just on the ground, you know, just by pulling the shifter up, disconnecting it, and rehooking the rod back up again for the trans. So let me give you a little closer here, and I'll just give you a close-up shot of this, what this looks like. VIN specific. The one we have outside, the E55, actually on the shifter, the knob that we have to take off, there's actually it says engine start stop. So I've never done an electronic shift module in an E55 before, but I'm curious to see what that's going to cost. This one was, you know, when the manager had ordered, he took care of everything. I'm going to say probably about 600. And this is, again, new from the dealer, very common. We got it within a couple hours of ordering it. All right, so let me get a little closer. I'll show you this thing up close here. And then I just want to wait a little bit until it gets a little lighter out. And we're going to sit in the car and I'll show you pretty much exactly what it's doing as far as the display goes, as far as the shifter goes, and the harsh engagements go on that 01. The other one, I won't be able to really do much on because we do have the battery disconnected. We do have the relay out for the fuel, so because we had to stop that car from running. All right, so let me get a little closer and I'll show you that shifter. All right, so I'll just have to see how that handle comes off. You know, it'll pop on here, but pretty much this is the whole thing. And again, it's really not that bad to do. I think at one point they just might have been selling maybe the bezel or the top portion, but now you got to buy the whole thing. And I think that's how it also was with the Jeeps that have the NAG1. You know, the NAG1 is a Mercedes unit. So this is it. And then I'm going to go, I'm going to wait maybe about an hour or so. And then I'm going to go out to the car, start it up, and I'll give you I'll show you the classic signs that that I see when I get into these things to know that this module is no good even before we scan it for codes. So these are the three real common issues that I see. All right, so I'm going to catch up with you guys in probably about an hour or so when it gets a little lighter out. I got a couple transmissions to look at now, and we'll be out in the car and go over that stuff in the car. All right, so I will see you guys in a little while. All right, so I'm sitting in the car. As you can see, car also is running in park. And then when we look up here, this is classic sign number 1, that it doesn't read the display. It doesn't read P, that the car is in park. Okay, then I'm going to come back down to the shifter, and I'm going to put it in reverse. Not too bad. But we got a little bit of a harsh engagement there. And then we're going to go back up, and as you can see, I cannot get this thing past neutral. So I'm going to shut the car off and then in. And that was a pretty hard engagement there. And that was a hard engagement there. And again, it's in drive now. As you can see, does not read anything on the display. And again, when we go to put it back, it gets stuck right there. Shut the car off, and it's in park. So those are pretty much the three classic signs that that electronic shift module that is under here is no good. All right, it does not read the display on the dash. You have hard engagements when you select reverse or drive, and you cannot get the shifter back into park unless you shut off the car. Pretty much when we get these in, that's what they all do. All right, now that other E55, that wasn't allowing me to shut the car off. It was reading on the display on the dash, but it was not reading the correct gear. When it was in park, it was reading drive 2 or drive 3 or sometimes drive, and it was not letting me shut the car off. So that's why we just had to pull the relay out and cut the fuel off, and that's how we shut that off. So we're gathering information on that. Got to give him a price, and we're going to wind up doing that. We already got the okay to fix it. We just got to let him know how much it's going to be. So, all right, so this particular one is a 2001 Mercedes E430, and we're getting codes for a bad ESM or bad electronic shift module. Fairly common. The dealer, like I said, did have this in stock, so we ordered it and got it about 2 hours later, and we'll be installing it today. So this, you know, you're going to pop this up here. Got to pull the handle off, disconnect the rod going to the transmission, and just a couple of bolts holding the whole assembly in, and then we can just swap it out. Gives you, as far as R&R time, about 2 hours to swap out the shifter. And this one, I did want to add one more thing that I forgot to add when I was speaking before. This is an E-Class, so this is just plug and play. All right, but when we were talking to the parts guy ordering the part, we asked him if this had to be programmed. He said it does not, but he believes that some of the S-Class electronic shift modules have to be programmed, but not the E-Class. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with that AMG, but we like I said, we do have the okay to fix that, and once we figure out what we got to do with that as far as getting the part and seeing if it has to be programmed or not, I will let you know what happened with that one. But this particular one, we're just going to install it, and it's good to go. Follow up, we got this shifter job done, and remember the three classic signs where the shifter, that you could tell the shifter's no good. Number one, the display did not show, harsh engagements, and we could not get the car into park without shutting it off. So let's start it up. Okay, there is our display. It's reading park. Shift it through the gears. Okay, now we're going to come down here to the shifter, put into reverse. You can't even feel the engagement. Drive. All right, and then remember, we couldn't get it into park without shutting it off. The car is still running, and right into park. All right, so this one is good to go, and we actually now have two more to do. So again, 2001 Mercedes E430, bad electronic shift module. All right, I hope you guys can see this. 2005 Chrysler Crossfire, and we're doing another ESM electronic shift module, and as you can see where it should read, it does not read park. All right, and then we're coming down here to the shifter, and the shifter will not even come out of park. All right, I'm on the brake, but again, it does not read the gear, the proper gear. It is totally blank right here.
So this is another one that we're doing. Now this one they discontinued, so the guy had got his own. He found one, a good used one, and we're going to install it, and then we'll see what happens afterwards. So I shall return. Sorry about the sunlight because I'm outside because we can't get the car. We're going to pull it inside the shop, can't get it in gear. 2005 Chrysler Crossfire for the ESM, and it's also had that code 2313, I believe. So I'll be back with you shortly when the repair is done. All right, so we got this electronic shift module in the Crossfire installed. We got the one that he supplied us with. So here is it is showing the proper gear, and remember we could not get this thing out of park. I don't know what it was doing when I filmed it, but the problem is we couldn't get it out of park, and the display was not showing, or sometimes it was showing the wrong gear. So, and it also had the hard engagements. So again, this item was discontinued, so he got us one. We gave him a list of people that had good used ones. We got him one, and we brought it back. The real pain in the neck, not like a Mercedes to put in, because we had to pull the whole everything out, all the here, the back of the radio, all over here, and took about 4 hours to do. But everything now is good with that, and it's reading the correct gear. And you know what's funny? At one point, this car, when it wasn't reading the correct gear, was blank, and we had it in drive. The car didn't even move. Probably because it didn't know what gear was in and didn't know how to fire the solenoids, but all is good now. So my suggestion was to get that electronic shift module in first before anything else, and sure enough, eventually when the gear did show up, it actually moved. So that was that problem. And that's it on this 05 Chrysler Crossfire with these electronic shift modules. Thanks for watching.